Our Hockey Insiders all week long, all year long, brought to you by Pro-Am Sports. Check them out if you got to get that car flag. And who doesn't? Pro-Am Sports is where you can get one. Go visit the Cooks and Boys. They will take care of you at Pro-Am. You can also visit their website. They got a couple of signings posted over there right now, proamsports.ca, but pop by and see them on St. Albert Trail and 128th Ave. You're going north on St. Albert Trail, just right there on the left, just north of the Yellowhead. All right, let's bring in Luke Gazdic from Sportsnet and the Mid-Soft Podcast this morning. Gaz, how you doing, buddy?
Good, fellas. How we doing?
Well, the city's abuzz today, Luke.
Great,
no Connor McDavid. A comfortable, tidy victory over the Vegas Golden Knights. What's takeaway number one for you from that game last night?
Takeaway number one was the team played great. I think, I had a coach, it might have been Glenn Gulletson actually, that used to come in after games and never like to nitpick after a win, no matter how good or bad the team you're playing was, no matter how good or bad you were, a win's a win. And I thought they did a lot of good things last night. No matter who they were missing, I think we'll get to that. I know you guys are having a big Vegas chat this morning, but no matter who they're missing or what's going on the other side, you always have to get the job done on your side. And I thought they did a great job of that, especially on the D side of the puck. They held them to 18 shots. I think they only had 4 grade A chances. They just did a good job of rolling all 4 lines, and everybody got involved and contributed in some way and did this all without Connor. So that's the positives I'll take out of it. I thought it was a great team win.
Let's keep that rolling, Luke. And Dylan Holloway, I just want to get your thoughts on him. A goal +3 on the evening, just shy of 13 minutes ice time. He had the hat trick down in Baco. He's been turning it on. I mentioned the post game. He was with Gene, and it looks like he's grown a couple inches. The smile, you can feel the confidence through the television set. Your thoughts on his game last night? Maybe if you saw anything that's been different since the last time we saw him up here with the big boys.
Well, I think you nailed it, was confidence too. And listen, what he's doing is extremely hard to do. And by that, I mean going down to the American League and playing a totally different role. So when he goes down there, he's playing top lines. He plays special teams. He's probably playing over 20 minutes a night. And you come back up and you're not necessarily in a depth role, but your role is a little different when you come back up here. And over my career, I've seen so many guys in that position that dominate the American League, and then they come up, they get put in a different position, and they're more of a checking forward, call it, used a little differently, and just aren't really able to equate their game. But he kept it as simple as possible last night. And what I loved from him was just his jump and his energy. Like, that's just so good when you can plug someone in there who's hungry. He was first on pucks on the forecheck. Just like you could almost feel a goal was coming. I thought their line was outstanding. Yeah. Probably the best line the Oilers had. And, I was going to say part of that was him, but Clouder and Pears as well had some great ozone play on the first 2 goals. And man, listen, I'm not going to lie. I've been on with you guys for a bit listening. So I heard your dilemma about what happens.
Right. What do we do
forward here? Yeah. I honestly, I always see this as a good thing. If you got guys chomping at the bit and you have a situation where you have a player that you can plug in and trust down the line, I don't know who comes out for him. I'm a huge Matthias Janmark guy, and I understand that people think that he just penalty kills, but he's an absolute gamer. And if I'm, constructing a playoff roster, I'm at least starting the playoffs with him on my 4th line. The way he attacks, he makes so many good little small plays out there. He blocks some of the hugest and biggest shots and big moments that I've seen.
Thick boy, hey, like kind of a...
Yeah, he's got that little bit of old school in him, and he's just gotten better and better as the season went on. So he'd be a tough one for me to take out. But Dusty, you're right in the sense that and I know it's only one game, but he's given himself a sliver in Knobloch's mind that, hey, if someone's not pulling their weight here, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, that's what I thought he accomplished last night. Like, you're wondering, okay, well, let's see what he does. He was one of the best players on the ice for them last night. And I would think where he's probably elevated himself to is if somebody in the top 9's not going, or even if it's Janmark or Connor Brown. Like, Brown's been playing well lately. You made the case for Janmark. You're not going to put Holloway in as your fourth-line center. You got two veteran right shot guys that can do that. I think the coaching staff would probably have confidence if somebody got banged up, Holloway would be the first guy in, and if Fogle has 3 bad games to start the playoffs, you can insert Holloway there, right? Like, that's what he's probably done for himself here.
Right, and I also think it depends on their opponent too.
Yeah,
I know he played well versus Vegas last night, but if I'm playing LA, I'm probably leaning more towards I'll go Janmark again, but a player like Yanni that maybe doesn't skate as well, but a little more defensively responsible. But if they end up with a team with like Vancouver, who loves to push the pace and plays with a ton more speed, like Dylan would be a guy that I'm looking to insert. So it's always great having options and having guys you can plug in that are going to contribute.
Luke Gazdic with us on the show this morning. We were also asked the question, I know you were on watching, what is Vegas right now? Like, are they mid? Are they sus? All these words we don't technically understand. But what I do know is that they didn't look like the Vegas Golden Knights that you sort of expect them to. And I know they're missing guys, so we can kind of give them the flag. You mentioned earlier, though, whether you're missing guys or not, a win is a win. But I think they've looked like they looked last night way too often this season. So what's going on with the Golden Knights? Who are the Golden Knights heading into the playoffs this year, Luke?
Yeah, I think we collectively have to be aware of this Vegas slander. This is a really good hockey team still. Listen, they haven't been great, I'd say, especially since the trade deadline. They got 5 wins against playoff teams since the trade deadline, but those included 2 huge ones about a week and a half ago versus Winnipeg and Vancouver, albeit Demko was not starting. Listen, 5 of those players that were out last night, I will say, are not just players. Those are major cogs of their system. Petro, I think I'd equate him to like probably Matthias Ekholm in the sense of how important he is to them. You take out Pietrangelo, Stevenson, Roy, Carrier, Stone. For me, that's like taking out RNH, Ekholm, Kaner, McLeod, Perry. Does that look like the same Oilers team? Like, probably not. And Hurdle, for me, still doesn't look like the player that I think they thought they acquired, but there's always a bit of an adjustment period. And that's really good that he's getting some crappy games out of the way now. Aiden Hill hadn't played in a while. He definitely looked very shaky last night, but this is still a team that has the experience going forward. And I feel like they should not be overlooking this team just from one game, especially from a fan perspective. I mean, if you would have watched the Oil play against Dallas last week or 2 weeks ago, you probably would have been thinking similar things. But I understand they haven't been incredible, but it's still a team that, I don't know, as soon as those playoffs start, it's game on for them. So I wouldn't be overlooking them too heavily.
Does Hurdle, I'm glad you brought up Thomas Hurdle, and he's just getting up to speed. But that's exactly what he kind of looked like. He looked like a guy, almost like Henrique when he was here for the first couple of games, where you're like he looks like he's waiting to pick some spots, kind of going through the motions a little bit, and probably a little bit of a different bump in expectation definitely going from San Jose and where they're at right now to Vegas. He's just sort of wading into these shallow waters right now, isn't he?
Yeah, but I think that's expected from missing as much time as he did from injury. And then your first games back are with a completely new team, 2 new line mates he's never played with before in his life. I think this is a situation for him where he's just getting his feet wet. But it's a good hockey player. And at the end of the day, he helps them more than he hurts them. I think it's just him getting used to it after a little bit of injury time. But he's definitely going to be a big part of their roster going forward.
You can text us anytime at 780-218-9999. At this point, I mean, you always want Connor McDavid in your lineup. And by all accounts, it was something that might take like 4 to 5, 6, 7 days or whatever to kind of get back. But they got the back-to-backs this weekend. Did you see any reason to play him on Friday against Arizona?
I mean, no. Like during the week, we were on TV about this, and like I want him to get that 100 assist mark as much as everyone else. I think that would have really helped him in the Hart conversation. I'm not saying he's not going to win the Hart, but this year is incredible in terms of production from guys. And listen, Oiler fans might not like this, but Nate McKinnon's playing some of the best hockey I've ever watched him play in his entire life, and he's been chomping at a heart for a long time. I understand Connor probably wants to get back in there as soon as possible, but man, there better be absolutely zero doubt in anyone's mind there about what's happening with him injury-wise. And I know TD Force and Chris Davey, the athletic training staff is incredible. One of the best in the league. I was with 4 different NHL organizations, and they're not the greatest everywhere you go. And those guys, those guys will take care of him. I'm laughing just because I thought of a couple situations with different teams where it's like, I can't believe this is National Hockey League, but they are very, very cautious in the way they treat their guys. And especially with Connor, take your time, big boy. We got more important hockey to play down the line.
You sound like you had some trainers who was like that walk-in doctor I went and saw like a month ago when I walked in. I was like, man, I've got an awful cough. And he's like, oh, do you want to get rid of it? And I was like, no, man, I want to keep it. Like, what the hell are you thinking? I came to you. You're a doctor. Like, ridiculous. So
true story. I cannot bury the guy or the team, but I came in with allergies for game time one time. This is a pro hockey game. And damn, I wanted to tell you the city we were in. And my trainer gave me 2 extra strength Benadryl at 5 o'clock for a 7 o'clock game, not knowing that they were completely drowsy. So by the time warm up hit, I was literally almost falling asleep on the bench. It was maybe the worst hockey game I'd ever played in pro hockey, enough to the point where my coach pulled me aside the next day and was like, what was going on? What happened? I was like, well, I took 2 extra strength Benadryl before an hour and a half before the game. So that probably does it for you.
That's not ideal.
Why the hell would you do that?
Yeah. Gaz, before I let you go, just your thoughts on what's happening with the Coyotes here, trending towards a relocation to Salt Lake City. Obviously, there's somebody in Salt Lake that very much wants a National Hockey League organization. And when you can get something that appears like it would be stable, I don't know how that could be a bad thing for the NHL.
I hate this whole situation. I think it's been an absolute gong show from start to finish. The people I feel most for are not only the players on the Yotes, but I think of like my time. Let's say Edmonton. Like I think of all the staff from ticket sales to marketing to all the people that make the team work behind the scenes and all those people who are going to lose their jobs. Like it's just such a crappy situation. And they're going into a spot in Salt Lake where it's not really even an NHL rink. I know they said they're NHL ready, but I don't even love the way this owner in Salt Lake has gone about doing this. And I know, like, I think back to like Jim Balsillie trying to get that team in Hamilton all those years ago. I mean, this guy's taken team survey for the name of the team before they're even there. And I don't know. I love hockey in Arizona, and I know guys like the guys that play there absolutely love it. It's been a gong show from that team from start to finish in terms of ownership. So I always put myself in the player's spot, and it's a really tough situation for guys with families that have houses there and stuff. And at the end of the day, it's probably good for the league. And I don't think it's the last we'll see hockey in Arizona. But it's just a crappy situation for a lot of people involved.
Gaz, appreciate it, man. When are you on Sportsnet next?
I will be on tomorrow night. I'm doing Hockey Central, but I believe I have the Oilers game. I think I'll be on during intermissions for the Oilers Arizona. So you should see me on your TVs in between periods.
All right, beautiful, man. We will we'll watch you then, and we'll talk to you next week.
Okay, thanks, boys.
There you go. That's Luke Gazdic. He's becoming one of the best in the biz, no doubt about it. And he said he'll be on the Oilers intermissions on a Friday night as well.